Syracuse Service Sports Hour. We're live here at the Bills game.
You get that?
You get that?
Good evening and welcome into Sports Hour here in Hendricks Hall. I am Kevin Syracuse, your host, alongside Trevor Howard making his on-air debut for us. He joined the show last week, helped out behind the scenes, and now we got him on air. So Trevor, how's it going?
I'm doing amazing, and you know who else should be feeling amazing right now? That everybody in that Buffalo Bills locker room, off of a big win yesterday against the LA Rams. Bills Mafia is going to be really happy about that one.
Oh yeah, for sure. The 3-0 start, everything is, well, I don't want to say everything is looking great. I mean, the defense was pretty shaky. The Bills did blow a 25-point lead, but what can you say about Josh Allen? I mean, coming into the league, one of the most raw quarterbacks, and his rookie year, he flashed some talent, and as we had the highlights rolling here, as he found Lee Smith for the first touchdown of the game, but, you know, rookie year, very raw. He flashed a lot of potential. Last year, a lot of improvements, ended with that bad wild card loss to Houston, and now this year, he's already getting talked about in MVP conversations.
He's just looking like a different human being. Like, you thought Josh Allen was good last year. Look at him now. I mean, yesterday throwing 4 touchdowns, over 400 yards, looking amazing these first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the growth is just insane because he was, and he still is the most polarizing quarterback, I think, in the league. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Bills fan, but he's one of those guys, either you love him or you hate him. Right. And I think a lot of people are still refusing to admit that they were wrong about him coming out of college. And now he's starting to prove the doubters wrong each and every week. And the cool thing is, the first week it was like, okay, it's the Jets. Then, okay, it's the Dolphins. But now it was the Rams. And now it's like, okay, this kid is for real, and he's putting the league on notice. And it's just so cool to watch, especially because when Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane took over the Bills in 2017, they created this kind of outlook that they wanted to be that ground and pound team, winning it with defense, you know, the harsh weather, the harsh winds in Buffalo, and they were going to ground and pound the ball with LaShawn McCoy, and now all of a sudden we're this new 2020 passing offense and put us up there with Kansas City and Baltimore as one of the top passing offenses right now. I mean, Josh Allen's second in the league in passing yards and touchdowns, 1,038 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising to me at all, like, to see that he's right now in the MVP candidate. Like you said before, like, we saw the Jets. Okay, he beat the Jets. He had an aerial assault against the Jets. Cool. He had an aerial assault against the Miami Dolphins. But at the same time, going in a staple win against the Los Angeles Rams, absolutely stellar performance. And it's only up from here. I mean, Allen's only in year 3. Like, I think the sky's the limit with this guy.
Now, a lot of people are saying, I think it's a lot of Rams fans, but still probably the Josh Allen haters out there are saying that, oh, well, they got lucky with that pass interference call. Well, okay, maybe it wasn't the best call. I mean, I think it was definitely pass interference.
Yeah.
I mean, they went from 4th down to 1st down, so it obviously got a lot easier. But, I mean, Allen led them down. He led that comeback, and especially like that 3rd and 22 play to Cole Beasley when he scrambled and just throwing on the run and found Beasley in the middle for 22 yards. I mean, that's just crazy.
I mean, most teams in that situation wouldn't even go through a 3rd and 22, wouldn't even convert on it. Might get 5 yards and have to go for it on 4th and probably not make that. But Josh Allen finding Cole Beasley right down the middle for that 22-yard gain to keep the game alive. I mean, what else can you really say about it? Only positives for Josh Allen.
And one of the biggest things that critics had coming out of college for Josh Allen, and even coming into this year, was his accuracy. Well, he's 81 for 114, which is good for 71.1% completion percentage, which is 8th in the league right now. I mean, just every category, he's at least top 10, if not top 5. So
easily.
One last thing about the Bills. Like I said, the defense, I mean, to blow a 25-point lead, that's kind of concerning. Now, the Bills have had a top 5 defense each of the last couple of years, so I'm not too worried about that. And it's also nice to see that the offense can win games this year instead of always relying on the defense.
Yeah, it's always nice. Like, I mean, the defense, yeah, it broke down, but at the same time, the Bills need to continue to, keep the foot on the gas, and that's how they're going to win these games. So just keep the foot on the gas. 28-3, obviously not enough to put them away. So, you know what? Go for that 35-3 score, and then if that doesn't work, go for 42-3. And yeah, there you go. Bills are 3-0 any way you want to look at it, though.
Well, now going on to the other games here. So first, we had Thursday Night Football. Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars versus Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Dolphins, and Fitzy looked really good here.
No, he did. 18 for 20 for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks. This is the early season Fitzmagic that Bills fans and now Dolphins fans are getting to know real well. And who would have thought, like, Gardner Minshew just 2 weeks prior only had 1 incomplete pass, and now looking at his stats. I mean, he didn't have a very, very solid game on Thursday night. 30 for 42, no touchdowns, and an interception with 275 yards passing. I mean, you can maybe say inconsistency, but I think it's just the team around him that's kind of messing things up for the Jaguars.
Yeah, now, before the season, they were saying tank for Lawrence, but I think the Jaguars are better than a lot of people were giving them credit for. All right, so moving on here. Next, sticking in the AFC East and going to your team now.
Yep.
The New York Jets and the Indianapolis Colts. Trevor is a Colts fan.
Die-hard Colts fan over here.
So I didn't see this game, but it seems like it was a pretty easy win. I mean, the Jets maybe they're tanking for Lawrence at this point.
Oh, I would say so. Like, it was looking a little scary in the beginning because they let Sam Darnold escape 4 sacks. He escaped 1 that went for a touchdown. But then you saw Sam Darnold throw 2 interceptions that went for touchdowns, 3 interceptions total on the day. And, I mean, he obviously got sacked in the end zone by Justin Houston for a safety. That's back-to-back safeties for the Colts in 2 weeks, and that's the first time they've done it since 1970. So, I mean, that's some good stats. That was back in the Baltimore Colts era. So, I mean, we love seeing that, considering the Colts haven't had a very good defense in quite a long time. But obviously, 36-7, very staple win for the Colts, and I'm excited to be a Colts fan right now.
Yeah, I like that Phillip Rivers pickup because, it wasn't working out in LA. I think he still has some juice left in the tank, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, he does.
Another interesting quarterback situation, sticking with the AFC, well, actually rounding out the AFC East, the Patriots and Cam Newton, they improved to 2-1 yesterday with the win over the Las Vegas Raiders, not Oakland, but Las Vegas Raiders.
I was thinking that the Raiders had this one. I mean, coming off a big win on prime time against the New Orleans Saints, I thought that the Raiders were going to not necessarily shock the Patriots, but beat them in their own house and go 3-0. Obviously didn't happen. Cam Newton looked really good, but I mean, Bill Belichick is just, a superstar. That's an understatement. Like, he knows how to beat these good teams, and we've seen that since day one when he's with the Pats. 6 rings for that guy.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I still think the Bills can win the division this year, but it's not going to be easy. Anytime with the Patriots, you're going to have to put up a fight because Belichick is, I hate to say it, but he's the GOAT.
Never count the Patriots out.
Yep. So moving on now, Houston and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh improved to 3-0 while the Texans fell to 0-3.
What can you really blame this on? Like, can you blame it on the fact that Bill O'Brien traded away DeAndre Hopkins to Arizona? Or is Ben Roethlisberger back? He's on the wrong side of 30, and now there's 3-0. And Eric Ebron scoring a touchdown. That's very, very good for the Steelers, and I don't know what to really say about the Texans except it's not looking good for them. you're probably looking at maybe a 4-12, 5-11 season for these guys. It's not looking good for them.
Now, I will say, reports came out today. Adam Schefter said that they are most likely going to sign safety Earl Thomas. So, I mean, there's some good news for Texans fans, but
Finally.
yeah. Sticking with the AFC South here, Minnesota and Tennessee. Tennessee pulled this one off. I don't even know how. I didn't get to see the highlights here, but Minnesota was up for a large portion of this game, and the Titans clawed their way back. And Steven Gostkowski got me 25 fantasy points. Yes, the kicker.
I mean, that's unbelievable. Coming from a guy who missed 4 field goals in week 1, and to just go off, like you said, 25 points in fantasy. I mean, that's insane. But I know around the third and fourth quarter was sort of a back and forth game, but obviously Tennessee's 3-0 now, and Minnesota's got to claw their way back in the rankings.
All right, and finally we have a very highly anticipated game tonight. Baltimore and Kansas City, 2 high-powered offenses and 2 of the best quarterbacks, maybe the 2 best quarterbacks in the league. So who do you like here tonight?
Man, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe they're at home. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead is very, very tough to beat. And, I mean, it's if I could choose the game of the week, it would definitely be this one. But the Chiefs get this. They pull this one out, I'd say, by 6.
Actually, the game is in Baltimore, but I agree. Because there are no fans, I'm going to take the Chiefs because the Ravens don't have that home field advantage. So, Trevor, thank you for coming on. And next we'll have Jared coming on to talk about the NFC.
Just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Happy to have Jared Marsh on now with us to talk about the NFC. Jared has been part of the show joined last year, and this is his second time on air, so getting some new faces on air, he'd love to see it. So, Jared, how's it going?
Good. I'm doing actually really well. I'm really happy to be back, for sure.
Bills fan, right?
Yep.
Okay,
absolutely.
all right, cool.
Of course.
So, real quick, before we get into the NFC, what are your thoughts? 3-0, Josh Allen, MVP candidate.
It's amazing because, like you guys were talking last segment. You got the Jets, you had Miami, now the Rams. The Rams were 2-0. We were both 2-0 going in. That's crazy, but I'm really happy for the Bills. I definitely want to see them.
Another big test next week in Vegas. So, I keep wanting to say Oakland, but it's Vegas.
Yep.
So, all right, so starting off in the NFC, we had 6 conference games here, 6 AFC teams playing NFC teams,
Yeah.
So Washington and Cleveland is the first one.
Yeah.
So Cleveland took this one by a final of 34-20.
Yep. I mean, it's, the standings are just, it's weird. Washington, was bad for a while, and now they have their amazing defense, and they're coming off their second loss, but they're still on top. Dwayne Haskins Jr. Throws for 224 yards with 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Antonio Gibson has 9 carries, 24 yards and 1 touchdown. Dontrell Inman, I think I'm saying that right, had 3 receptions, 38 yards and 2 touchdowns. However, though, I mean, the Browns overall were the better team. I mean, I was watching some of these highlights, and Washington just didn't come to play. Baker throws for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nate Chubb had 19 carries, 108 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt with 2 receptions, 18 yards and 1 touchdown, and Harrison Bryant had 1 reception, 3 yards and 1 touchdown. I mean, it's crazy. The Browns are coming back. Like a couple years ago, they were 0-19. I mean, they've come a long way. They really have.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying last week, I don't want to say the pressure's on for Baker, but, 3rd year, this is where you really got to take a jump, and we'll see what Baker can do. So, Browns are 2-1, so, good start for them. Now, sticking with the same 2 divisions here, we had Philly and Cincinnati, and this ended in a tie. I feel like Cincinnati's always tying.
I know, it's crazy because, Philly is 0-2-1. I mean, I would never expect that, because Carson Wentz, he's good, and it's just crazy to see that, the Eagles are falling down in this hole, so to say,
I will say they always start out slow, though,
yeah,
and then they come back strong. So, I don't know what to think of the Eagles yet.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, I don't really know what to think about them either. I will say they do look a lot better. I mean, I'm not expecting playoffs or even 8 or 9 wins. I think they'll get a solid 6 or 7 wins.
Yeah.
But I think they definitely found their guy in Joe Burrow. 31 of 44, 312 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That's crazy. It definitely is. And then T. Higgins had 5 receptions, 40 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Wentz, he throws for 225 yards. He has 1 touchdown. But he's got 2 interceptions. I mean, that's not like Carson Wentz. I mean, the Eagles they're just falling in this hole. I mean, they tied the Bengals. I don't know. Going to week 4, they have to come out on top. I'm not sure exactly who they're playing, but they need to come out on top. It's just crazy that they're falling into this hole, I guess, so to say.
Next up, we had San Fran and the Giants. San Fran took this one 36-9, and that's a pretty good win for them considering how banged up they are.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Mullins came in, and he looked great coming off the bench in replacement of Jimmy G.
Yeah, I saw that. The Giants aren't doing so hot. They're not the same without Mr. Eli Manning. Daniel Jones throws for 109 yards and 1 interception. I mean, like you said, Jimmy G coming out and Nick Mullins comes in, throws for 343 yards and 1 touchdown. Jerick McKinnon has 14 carries, 38 yards, and 1 touchdown. Can Nick Mullins, can they keep the 49ers going? No, do you think that 49ers can keep progressing without Jimmy G? Or?
Yeah, that'll be an interesting team to watch because, they have a ton of injuries. You got to feel bad for them because you're coming off of being in the Super Bowl. They lose Jimmy G, George Kittle, Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa. Who else? I think I'm forgetting some. But they lost a ton of starters.
I know.
I think one of their linebackers, Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
So I don't know the prognosis on all their guys. But, again, that'll be interesting to see. Next, Chicago and Atlanta. Atlanta is, I don't know how Dan Quinn still has a job because another week where they blew a 15-point or more lead in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, I was watching most of this game here, and the Bears obviously they start Mitch Trubisky. He throws for 128 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But after that interception, they pull Mitch Trubisky and they put in Nick Foles. And he was the Super Bowl 52 MVP when he took the Eagles to the Super Bowl and they beat the Pats. He beat Bill Belichick and the Pats. If I were the Bears coach, I'd be playing Nick Foles. Honestly.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too coming into the season. I was like, I would give it to Foles just because of his past and, he has that experience. And just because Trubisky, I don't think is that good.
No.
But I was like, but then again, you did trade up. You didn't draft Mahomes. You didn't draft Deshaun Watson. So you invested a lot into Trubisky, and I wouldn't give up on him yet, but for this week, they did, and they actually named Foles the starter.
Oh, really?
They named him the starter today for next week. So.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was watching some of the Falcons highlights too, and, you know, Matt Ryan, his first throw, I'm not sure how many yards it was, but he had a great pass to Calvin Ridley, who's on my fantasy team, so that helped me out. And then they score first with Matt Ryan throwing to Hayden Hurst. That's the first touchdown, and then Brian Hill scores the next one. I mean, overall, you know, the Falcons played really good. They were the dominant contender to win until Nick Foles showed up. And Bears go to 3-0, and Falcons fall to 0-3. I mean, can Atlanta find a way out of this hole, or are they digging themselves deeper? I mean, who's to say? I mean, hopefully week 4 they can turn it around, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Now a couple games here. We'll just go over these quickly because we want to save time for the 2 big games.
Oh, yes.
Carolina and the Chargers. The Panthers took this one 21-16. That's interesting to see too because Tyrod, as we know now, had his lung punctured by the team doctor. So Justin Herbert's in. Now Anthony Lynn said when healthy he is the starter. So I'm happy for Tyrod because you know I always liked Tyrod when he was here in Buffalo and I felt like it was kind of unfair in Cleveland because as soon as he stepped on the field, people were calling for Baker, and I didn't want that to happen to him out in LA. So, you know, hopefully he heals fast and gets back on the field. Detroit got their first win as they took down the Cardinals. I mean, that was pretty surprising. I was like, wait, Detroit won?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it balances out because they probably should have beaten the Bears
that is true.
a couple weeks ago. Was that the week when DeAndre Swift dropped that touchdown?
Yep.
Or was that against?
I'm not sure exactly. It may have been, but it might have been.
There are too many Lions plays. But they're 1-2 now. The Cardinals 2-1. Yep, they are 2-1. And now for the 2 big games. These were great. Dallas and Seattle, and then Green Bay and New Orleans to round out the night here. So first, Dallas and Seattle. Seattle took this one. Russell Wilson, again, I feel like I say this every week, but, I mean, this guy is just insane. He is top 5, if not even top 3 quarterback in the league.
Oh, for me, I mean, you know, like, I know you're a Bills fan, I know Josh Allen, but I think Russell Wilson's up there. I mean, literally, like, this team would not be this, like, they would be so bad if he was not on the team. It's crazy to think, like, one guy is their whole team, you know, because their defense is not great.
Yeah, they lost that Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
And it's like every year, they're still great. And it's like, well, how? Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I believe they also lost Jamal Adams too. I think he got injured as well.
Did he? I didn't hear that one,
injured, but like, I don't know. It's like, so I was reading something on the CBS Sports app, and it said the only reason why Seattle, you know, is because of Russell Wilson. He actually ends up throwing he threw for 315 yards and 5 touchdowns. He actually broke the record. 14 NFL TD passes, and the record was held by Mr. Patrick Mahomes at 13 2018.
And the cool thing about that is, you mentioned Josh Allen in there. Wilson and Josh Allen were 2 of the most ridiculed quarterbacks coming out of college, and now they are 2 of the best in the league. And I think that's so cool, that underdog mentality.
Yeah.
And now as for Dallas, they're 1-2. Now I don't think it's time to panic in Dallas, but you know, Dallas, they're America's team, and people want to see them win. But so far, they're 1-2. I will say Dak Prescott, 472 yards and 3 touchdowns, as we have some highlights here now.
So this is actually the last play. He gets sacked first, but the next play is actually, I believe it's the last play of the game, and he's trying to find a receiver. He's going for the Hail Mary because they're down, you know, by a touchdown. And, you know, he avoids the sack there. He just whips it, and unfortunately, it gets intercepted. I think Ryan Neal intercepts it there. But it was close. I feel bad for Dallas, you know. I really like that Dallas. It's just, I don't know.
Man, I really like Dallas so much. That's all right. And then the last game, this was another great game, Green Bay and New Orleans. Green Bay improved to 3-0, and the Saints fall to 1-2.
Yeah, this was definitely by far the second best game of the week, next to Dallas and Seattle, of course. I have Aaron Rodgers on my fantasy team.
Me too.
This week, unfortunately, he throws for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, these, and then Alvin Kamara, he had 13 receptions, 139 yards, and 2 touchdowns, also on my team. But I think honestly the biggest thing for the Saints right now, how is this offense? Can they keep it going without Michael Thomas? I mean, I really think they're missing Michael Thomas. I mean, they're 1-2 now because of it. I mean, he got injured in week 1 or week 2? It was week 2.
I think week 1.
Yeah. Oh, week 1. Yeah, it was just.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really hoping that they can turn it around. I mean, I don't know. Their offense is definitely hurting.
Yeah, and real quick, a big storyline here too is these two teams have aging quarterbacks. Yep. So it's like, are the Packers done? Are the Saints done? Well, apparently the Packers aren't done. Yeah. And I don't think the Saints are. They're way too good. I'm not counting the Saints out. They're going to bounce back from this. Real quick, what's your prediction for tonight?
I'm gonna go Chiefs. Because I have Patrick Mahomes on my fantasy. I need him to go off.
So we're all going Chiefs, and that's kicking off right about now. So Jared, thanks for coming on, and Dee will be on to talk about the MLB in a couple minutes here. So stay tuned.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the creative galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Glad to have Dee Thomas back with us here to talk about the MLB. And Dee, it is finally here, playoff time.
Finally baseball season. I mean, if playoff season actually. I mean, it's crazy to think that we're already in the playoffs because we started so late, but 60 games this year instead of 120, and it's just, it went by so fast. I'm ready for it to not be over. I need it to keep going. It wasn't long enough this season.
Well, luckily you have 16 teams to watch now.
16.
As the regular season ended yesterday, the playoffs will be starting tomorrow, and these are the standings here.
Final
teams. So we were talking about it last week, how it's kind of like the NBA and the NHL, one playing 8, 2 versus 7, and so on and so forth. So just to run it down real quick, Tampa Bay, they won the AL East. They are the number 1 seed. And Toronto had the second, or Buffalo. Buffalo had
Blue Jays.
the second wild card, so they are the 8 seed.
It's crazy because the Indians were number 8, and then they ended up rallying and coming back against, I think the Pirates, and they shot up all the way to 4, and now we're hosting the Yankees. So it's crazy how one game can just manipulate all of the playoffs.
Yeah, so Cleveland they got the Central 2, is that what they're calling it? Central 2? Like East, I think they're saying like E1 for Tampa Bay, and then the Central one was,
It's very
No, there was
confusing,
Minnesota,
the
yeah.
semester, not the season, and it's just, I just see, top 8 on each side, and then top 8 on the national side, and going from there. It's too complicated this year. It's crazy. They just want to get as much baseball in as they can.
I'll try sum this up real quick. So again, Tampa Bay won the East. They're the 1 seed. Toronto's the 2nd wild card. Oakland is the 2 seed because they won the AL West, and they are playing the 1st wild card team, Chicago White Sox. Minnesota won the AL Central, so they are the 3 seed, and then Houston was the last place finisher out of the 2nd place teams.
Yep.
And then Cleveland and the Yankees each took 2nd place in their division, so they are the 4 and the 5 seeds.
Yeah, that's it for the American side. And the national side is, it's crazy seeing these teams on the national side because you don't normally see, like the Reds in the playoffs.
The Padres.
Or the Padres.
Marlins.
Or the Marlins. Or anyone on this side. And it's like, you know what? I'll take free baseball at this point.
Yeah.
Any baseball is better than no baseball at all. So
Yeah, so the Dodgers won the NL West. They are the 1st seed, and they are playing Milwaukee, who is the 8th seed. They earned the 2nd wild card position. Atlanta won the NL East, so they are the 2 seed, and they are playing Cincinnati, which is the 1st wild card team. Chicago won the Central. They are the 3 seed, playing Miami, the 6th place team, and then San Diego and St. Louis are the other 2 2nd place finished teams. So they're the 4 and the 5 seeds.
yeah, so the American League starts tomorrow, the 29th. All of those 8 teams will play, and then the National League will start on Wednesday, and obviously the 2nd game of the American League will be on Wednesday. And they're on ESPN and TBS for most of these games, so it'll be an interesting playoff. I can't make predictions at this point, and the playoffs because no one started. Because anyone can win at this point. We could see, like I said earlier, the Indians pulled out, 4th place out of their back pocket, coming from 8th. So it's going to be an interesting. I want to say my Yankees are going to win the World Series, but I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think they're going to win the World Series based on their performance the past weekend. Like they just
they're
in that
it's
lull.
hard to tell. I mean, they had a roller coaster season, so maybe they were up, then they were down, then they're up, down. So maybe it's
maybe
time
they'll
to go
be
up
up
again.
for all of playoffs,
Yeah. Now they did announce today that Kyle Higashioka, Higashioka, he will be catching Garrett Cole in Game 1.
Which
not Gary Sanchez, so it'll be Higashioka.
I mean, Higashioka's had a season. He hit 3 home runs in 1 game, and I was like, where did that come from? And Sanchez has not performed well at all this season. We keep putting him 6th in the lineup, and he's just striking out and striking out and striking out. Like, it's ridiculous how we keep him in the 6th spot, but he's not performing well.
Well, that, and I think Higashioka and Garrett Cole formed like this tremendous amount of chemistry in a short amount of time.
Definitely.
Because they love working together.
Oh yeah, and I think Higashioka has improved the most this season out of everyone. I mean, we're gonna get to the league leaders, but
I would say that segues perfectly into.
He improved so much this year, and like I still see him as a rookie in my eyes, but he hasn't been a rookie for years. So it's interesting how things have played out this season. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, so now getting into the league leaders here. So starting with the Yankees, we had a couple leaders right at the top. DJ LeMahieu, 364 average. He is the first player in the modern era to win the batting title in both leagues. He also won it in 2016 in Colorado. So, I mean, he hit 348 that year, and now 364 now.
He's improved in the last
insane,
4 years. He is the most versatile player I've ever seen come to the Yankees. He plays almost every position. Like, he plays first, second, third. He plays everywhere in the infield, and it's just so versatile. You can use him anywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if we were down by so much we throw him into pitch at one point if we really needed to, but let's hope we never get to that point. So another Yankee leading the American League batting title is Luke Voit. He topped off at 22 home runs. And it's crazy because, DJ LeMahieu and Luke Voit became the first pair of teammates to lead the majors in batting average and home runs since Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews for the 1959 Braves. So, and there's an Astro that's on this, leading scoreboard, and it's Jose Abreu. He had 60 RBIs and 76 hits. I didn't think any Astro would be on the league leader the way they were performing this year, but.
I saw this graphic of the Astro stats, the batting averages from 2017 to this year, and they all dropped like a ton, and I just loved it.
That's the year they won, right? The World Series?
I believe so, yeah. And I think that was like the year they started cheating.
Yeah.
So in the span of like 3-4 years, their averages have went down a lot, and it's nice to see.
So now we have like pitching leaders for the American League. Brad Hand of the Indians had 16 saves. Shane Bieber of the Indians also had a 1.63 ERA, 122 strikeouts, and 8 wins. He's the first pitcher to win the Triple Crown since Johan Santana in 2006. That's a long time. 14 years and a pitcher hasn't done that. That is craziness. And his ERA is very, very impressive. 1.63, that's almost nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Wait, hang on. Actually, before I get into the Shane Bieber thing here, I just realized we said Astros, Jose Abreu, White Sox.
Oh my God, yeah, he is on the White Sox.
I was like, wait, why are we talking about Astros?
My mistake. No
I was
Astros.
thinking about that afterwards.
So no Astros were on the league. I was gonna say, man, they really surprised me this year.
I didn't even think about it when I said it. It's like, oh yeah, the Astros, but I was like, wait, yeah. So Jose Abreu with the White Sox.
I probably typed in Jose Altuve.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And got it wrong.
Now, the Astros batting averages are still down a lot.
It's still,
so that's
you weren't wrong there.
Still nice to see, but yeah. So Jose Abreu in 60 games had 60 RBIs and 76 hits. And he was a key factor into the White Sox success too, because this is their first playoff appearance since, what was it, 2000, I can't even remember when the last time they got in.
I think 2004, 16 years ago.
It's been a while.
So we got some National League batting leaders. You want to go over those ones?
Yeah, and then the other thing I was going to say about Shane Bieber was, the Indians traded away Corey Kluber, who was their ace and probably one of if not the best pitcher in baseball at the time. And it's like, well, who's going to step up now? And Shane Bieber has been incredible this year.
He's actually starting against the Yankees tomorrow. Shane Bieber, Garrett Cole are the starters for that game.
That's a great matchup.
That's going to be a very interesting matchup. And then I think for the Yankees on the second game is Tanaka. I
believe, yeah.
Right. And then we don't know who the third one is. Yeah. I mean, that's if we have a third game. So, but we got a couple Braves on the leaders for hitting. Well, 2 Braves actually. So, Marcell Ozuna had 18 home runs and 56 RBIs this season. Trevor Story had 15 stolen bases, and he was part of the Colorado Rockies. Trey Turner of the Nationals had 78 hits, and Freddie Freeman had 51 runs. That's a lot. And just before this, they announced all of the players, pitchers, rookies, and relievers of the month, like just before we went on the air. And Freddie Freeman's on there. He was player of the month for September with a 3.75 batting average, 8 home runs, and 32 RBIs. Is that what that says?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy how much is happening this season. Like, I think I'm most impressed by is the ERA of Mike Mayers of the Cardinals. He appeared in 18.1 innings and had a 0.98 ERA. That, just for the month of September, is crazy. That not even one earned run scored in all of his 18 innings.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting how playoffs go this year. Like, I'm not holding my breath for anyone.
Yeah, and real quick, before we hit the break, Josh Hader, for the NL pitching leaders, Josh Hader led the way with 13 saves. Trevor Bauer of the Reds, 1.73 ERA and a .79 WHIP. Jacob deGrom had 104 strikeouts for the Mets. Got to feel bad for him. If he had a better offense, he could be
way better.
Yeah, and then Yu Darvish with the Cubs, nice bounce back year for him. He had 8 wins. So
Did he get traded this year, or has he been with the Cubs?
I believe this is his second year.
Second year? I was going to say, I thought he got traded recently, so, I mean, do you have any predictions for the World Series?
I want to say this is the year the Dodgers finally. I feel like it's going to be Dodgers and I don't know, Yankees, New York, LA, but unfortunately we're out of time, so we'll have to come up with some more predictions for next week. So
Definitely.
Thanks for coming on, and we'll have Meyer on to talk about the NBA Finals here in 2 minutes.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the creative galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Meyer Mikulski is back now to talk about the NBA. And Meyer, before we talk about the finals, we have some big news coming out of LA. The other LA, as the Clippers fired Doc Rivers today after 7 seasons.
That's really no surprise to me, because how do you have all that talent for all these years and can't make it past the second round? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about Doc Rivers being fired. Like, I just kind of was like, yeah, it's Clippers. They lost again. And I never really thought, like, oh, yeah, like, this guy's job is actually in jeopardy. But the Clippers made that move today, and they will be on the search for a new coach here. But as for the other LA team, the Lakers advanced to the NBA Finals for the first time in 10 years as they defeated the Nuggets the other night 117 to 110.
So here are my takeaways from that series. For one, LeBron still has it on both ends of the floor, as you can see here. Jamal Murray's guarding him, fade away. Also, AD has that killer instinct, which is something that Charles Barkley said he didn't have, which I don't know why he would say that. Also, you never know which role player is going to step up for the Lakers, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. Also, on the Nuggets side of things, the Nuggets, they do have a bright future ahead of them. However, I believe that they need a floor general on their roster. I don't see Jamal Murray as a true floor general. I see him more as a two-guard. And also, Jeremy Grant, he played really well in this series. And I think he could earn himself a really big payday. He averaged 15 points in the Western Conference Finals. And unfortunately for the Nuggets, they could potentially lose him and Paul Millsap in free agency.
Yeah, Grant was great this year. Where did he come from?
So he played for OKC last year.
Did he sign with them in free agency?
No, he was actually traded 2 or 3 years ago, because he was originally on the 76ers.
Yeah, I remember that. So it was a trade then?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, he came up huge for the Nuggets, and I mean, Jamal Murray, he really blossomed too.
Yeah.
he he played great. Now, I will say, for as great as Jokic was throughout the playoffs, I felt like he really took a step down in this Western Conference Finals. I feel like they really needed him to play a little bit better than he did, and you know, I feel like he wasn't up to the challenge this time.
But part of it was because Dwight Howard and all the other guys got him in foul trouble too. So that played a big part in why he couldn't really be his true self throughout the whole series.
Yeah, so that was Saturday night that the Lakers won, and this is LeBron's 10th NBA Finals in 17 years. It's just crazy. So 59% of the time that he's been in the league, he's made the finals.
I mean, I'm not surprised. He's just that great.
Yeah, so I mean, in the Game 5 win, LeBron had 38 points on 15 of 25 shooting, 16 rebounds, and 10 assists.
This was easily his best game of the series, because before that, LeBron wasn't as aggressive as he really would want him to be. But in this game, towards the end, with about 4 minutes left in the game, he was just staring down Jeremy Grant, hitting everything he looked at.
Yeah, it's some guys either shy away from the moment or some guys rise to the occasion, and year after year LeBron just continues to rise to the occasion.
And going off of that point, I believe that the narrative that LeBron isn't clutch is false. I believe it's just a narrative that's based on the 2011 finals where he failed miserably, but ever since then he seemed to repair that reputation in that regard.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the all the games here so we can just recap. I had it and then I lost it. But it was Game 3 was the only game that the Nuggets won, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that was the only game. I was thinking once it got to 3-1, I was like, okay, the Nuggets have come back from 2 3-1 leads in this playoffs. Are they up? Can they do it again for a third time?
Yeah, I knew that was a reach at that point.
Yeah, so they didn't, and the Lakers have moved on. And now, speaking of moving on, we will move on to the Heat and Celtics, and Miami advances to the finals for the first time in 6 years when who else but LeBron was there.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a great series, I feel like, Miami and LA.
So my biggest takeaway from this particular series, as you see Jason Tatum throwing it down, is that for one, no lead is safe against the Heat, as they showed in every game. Also, the Heat, they could be vulnerable to giving up offensive rebounds when playing zone. Also, the Celtics, they need to learn how to balance when to play isolation basketball versus when to play as a team. Also, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So I'm saying that to say that, yes, the Celtics were a more talented team, but at the end of the day, the Heat were the more cohesive unit. And I have another hot take. The Heat are who the Clippers thought they were.
Oh, okay, I like that. I haven't heard that one before, but no, I like that. You know, another thing I'll say about the Heat, I love how this team is made up because they have a lot of veterans mixed in with a lot of young guys. You know, you got Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic, Jay Crowder, and then you have guys like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo. You know, all these veterans are mixing well with these young guys, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, exactly.
So that being said, who do you think wins the finals? Do you think that youth plus the veteranship can pull it off for Miami again, or do you think LeBron's just going to take over and be LeBron?
I believe the Lakers will win this series in 6.
Do you? Okay. I think I'm going to take the Lakers in 6 too. Now, another interesting stat, I know we talked about this last show, but it's worth noting again, LeBron and Kobe had the same path to the finals in 2009 as this year for LeBron, as they beat,
it went on from the second round.
Yeah, so it's Houston, and then Denver in the conference finals, and then the title in Orlando. Yeah. So, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It seems like it's LeBron's year to win his 4th ring, and you know, we'll see what happens.
So here are my keys for the Lakers to win this title. For one, LeBron and AD need to set the tone. Also, they need to crash the offensive boards, close out hard on shooters, force turnovers, use their height to advantage, stay disciplined on jump shooters, and get the Heat in foul trouble.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Game 1 is scheduled for Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. So this will be fun to watch. Thanks for coming on, Meyer. And Josh will be on to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals, which are in action right now.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the creative galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Josh Schmidt joins us now for the NHL portion of our show. Josh, we have some. We already have a goal here in Game 6. Tampa is up 1-0.
Yeah, this could be the game that Zach Bogosian is the Stanley Cup champion. Right now, Tampa looks to be killing Dallas. They are leading 11 shots to 2 shots, so Dallas is really kind of falling asleep here in the first period. But Tampa gets that first goal. And they're 2 periods away now from the Stanley Cup. I don't want to jinx them, but God, I hope Dallas loses. I'm repping the Joe Pavelski jersey right now, but that's only because I like Joe Pavelski. I don't like anybody else on Dallas. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Tampa's got a really good shot here to close it out tonight. There's been a lot of questionable calls in this series so far. It's just been one of those dirty series from Dallas, and even from Tampa, too. Both teams are kind of getting a little gritty at the end of the year. Steven Stamkos here had his first game back in Game 3, only played a period and a half. It was the first time he'd been playing since February 25th, and now he will not play the rest of the finals, and most likely that'll be tonight, so he's only missing one more game, really. But he will be there for the ceremony if they win the Cup. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to jinx Tampa here, but like I said, it's been a very gritty series at the end here, many questionable calls. There was a couple last game. Braden Point was taken down from behind by Corey Perry on one of the more worst of the slashing calls, the stick between the legs, and he did not look like he was very comfortable. But I don't know. I just think that Dallas is kind of running out of steam. Khudobin is playing out of his mind right now. He's leading the way with the Stars with a .917 save percentage and a 2.72 goals against average throughout the playoffs. So he's putting up crazy good numbers, and he's one of the guys I want the Sabres to go after, in my opinion. Nikita Kucherov on the other side, he's leading the way for the Lightning. He has 33 points in 24 playoff games. This guy, if he doesn't win Conn Smythe, I don't know the only other person I could see would be Braden Point or Anton Khudobin, because nobody else on the Stars really has been shining for me, and I think Kucherov deserves this one here, because Kucherov has had a heck of a season the past 3 years, and I think he deserves it. He deserves a cup too, in my opinion. I mean, some people say he plays pretty dirty, but overall he's a very skilled player, and he's the real deal.
Yeah, so I want Tampa here too. We were talking about this yesterday. If it wasn't for the no goal thing with Dallas, we really wouldn't have a reason to dislike them. I mean, if that didn't happen,
yeah,
they'd be one of those teams that I wouldn't like, but I wouldn't dislike. They would just be like that team.
Well, yeah,
and that's kind of like Tampa for me. Like, I don't really like them, but I don't hate them.
Right.
And like, I respect Stamkos and Kucherov and all those guys.
Yeah, the only thing I hate about Tampa is that hit they had on Dahlin, Eric Cernak. I'd like to say some things about him, but I can't on air. He plays pretty dirty, but other than that, I mean, Tampa's really kind of more of a clean team, but Dallas has just got that little too much grit that it makes them a little dirty. But like you said, there's really some of the guys in that team are pretty likable, like Tyler Seguin, Joe Pavelski, Anton Khudobin. Like Anton Khudobin, not Corey Perry as much, but like I said, he's been playing pretty dirty. But Anton Khudobin he's such a funny guy in the locker room. You see these videos, and he's got this thick Slavic accent, and he was saying how, all you hear is, "We are not going home," and it's like, oh, that like just fires you up if you're on the Stars. And I don't know. I think they're going home tonight, but we'll have to wait and see what the rest of this final brings. I'm sure it's going to be one heck of a finish. I'm hoping double overtime. It is Game 6. I want a foot in the crease, Tampa. I'm looking at you, Zach Bogosian. You better do it. Get your foot in the crease and score that goal in double overtime. Just one good thing you can do for the Sabres, please. Please.
Well, I didn't even realize this until, we were talking about it, but the NHL draft is already coming up, too.
Yeah.
Everything's just been so rushed.
This is just an amazing couple weeks for hockey fans after having no hockey forever.
Yeah, so round 1 is set for Tuesday, October 6th at 7 p.m., and then rounds 2 through 7 are set for Wednesday the 7th at 11:30.
Yeah, and obviously round 1 is what everybody really watches. Round 2 is a little just as important because those are your guys that are on the fringe. But the New York Rangers have the first overall draft pick. Alexis Lafreniere will probably be going to New York. I don't see them taking Quentin Byfield, but it's a possibility. He is a really big forward, which is something they might be looking to get. But Lafreniere is Lafreniere. He's incredible. The Sabres are picking 8th overall. I'm hoping to see them go for Marco Rossi if he falls that far. But like I have in my sheet here, they have the 8th overall for now. You never know if they make a trade and drop down in the draft and get another player. You never know if they trade away their first pick and get a couple really good players in return, but I really hope they don't if Rossi is available and on the table. And there's a bunch of other guys too, Anton Lundell, Jake Sanderson. We don't really need a defenseman, but he's pretty good. But you'll have to wait till next week and hear my full draft preview. And free agency is a couple days after that too. So like I said, it's a great couple weeks for hockey fans. It's going to be one heck of an offseason. It's going to be crazy seeing what these GMs have been thinking about. I know a bunch of them were thinking about trading for Jack Eichel, and Kevin Adams said no to that one. Thank you, Bob McKenzie, for clearing that one up, because I had like 6 heart attacks reading a Twitter thread this morning.
I was going to say, did you see that? How the Rangers apparently called Buffalo, and
I don't know what the Rangers are thinking. The only way you're going to get Eichel from us is Kakko and that first overall pick, and I don't want either of those things. I want Jack here to stay.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of shuts down the Twitter rumors that Jack has requested a trade out of here.
He's not leaving until we fall apart. If we fall apart, I hope we don't fall apart. Please, Jack, stay here forever.
Well, it is the end of the first period. Tampa is up 1-0, and for you football fans out there, it is 13-3 Kansas City, just getting underway in the second quarter. So that'll do it for us tonight. I think we got to go home and watch some sports here because we got some good games to watch here.
Oh, yeah,
so
for sure.
Thanks for joining us, and we will see you same time and same place next week here from Hendricks Hall on WNYF TV. Have a good evening.